I'm joined here today by the one and only Anthony Fluffy Hernandez, coming off the big win, of course, at UFC China. Anthony, thanks so much for joining me, man. How are you?
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. I'm good. I'm doing good.
We're glad to hear it, man. I assume you're currently in California?
Yes, I am. I'm in Sacramento right now.
Okay. Is this where you train? I mean, where you spend most of your time?
I spend most of my time probably in Woodland, and but yeah, I do train in Sacramento. Train in Roseville at Marinobles, and then on Fridays I'm out in El Dorado Hills, San Diego. So I travel quite a bit.
And we know the fight was a few weeks ago. I mean, are you already back to your normal training schedule in the gym, or have you taken some kind of time off, maybe spend it with family and stuff like that?
No, I've been chilling with family, but I'm back in the gym training and swimming, getting everything going again. See what they have to offer next.
For sure. And one thing I'm curious about before we start talking about the fight, the great performance, and everything is your nickname, Fluffy. I mean, when we look at you, it doesn't really match kind of description of Fluffy. What's going on with that nickname, man?
Yeah, I started off like as a little fat kid, so I got the name way back then, not now, and it kind of just stuck. So I've been going with it.
So, yeah, you mentioned from back when you were Fluffy. I mean, what sort of happened to the point where you are now, where you did go from being, like you mentioned, a fat little kid to all of a sudden now you're a world class athlete? I mean, what kind of happened to get to this point?
Honestly, I was just like I liked training, and I was getting into fighting, and I just really liked it. And then one of my coach one day, because I used to fight like heavyweight. I started off fighting heavyweight. Um, and my coach said one day I got to fight for you at 185. You better make the weight, and I just fucking I had to figure it out kind of. But after that, levels and training starts stepping up, and you get older, you get more experience, you learn stuff, you get knowledgeable, and then you start doing all the right things. And I think now I have the recipe down, basically.
And you mentioned going from heavyweight to middleweight. I mean, did you end up making weight? I mean, how did you do it? Because obviously you can't just cut all that weight in
No,
one
yeah, I
night.
made weight. I definitely didn't do it right. When I was
Yeah.
18, I starved myself with like one can of tuna and a thing of spinach.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I used to starve myself back in the day to make weight, but now I know how to do it, so it's not a problem. Making weight's very easy for me nowadays.
And so let's talk about your fight in China. Obviously, great performance was your first victory in the UFC. I mean, how did it feel getting that victory, especially on kind of enemy territory?
It was good, dude. I was looking forward to it. You know, he's a striker, and then he had like I don't know, a decent name out there, I guess. Um, it felt fun. I got into this sport basically to travel the world and beat people at like what they're good at. So it was a good thing. I don't know how to explain it. It's just it's what I've been training for. So I mean, it feels kind of normal, like it should have happened.
And was this your first time going to China?
Yes, it was. No, it's like way different than here.
Yeah. Were you able to take advantage of that? I mean, did you spend some extra days, or was it just purely business?
No, I just went. I went for like a week, but I mean, every day we made it a goal to go out and see stuff. So we got to see a lot of China. And that was pretty fucking fun, to be honest.
What's some stuff that you did? I assume you did the Great Wall. I mean, obviously it's a great walk. What did you kind
No,
of
I
do?
didn't.
Oh,
I wish I did do that. No, I didn't have enough time to go like that far. But I just did basically. What did I do? I went to the zoo, and then I went like on this little subway thing with this like flea market. We just like kind of dropped around and made the best out of it. The training camp, and but it's hot as fuck out there. It's
yeah.
hella humid, like disgustingly humid.
Well, was it?
Bad.
I assume that must have helped with your weight cut, though, since I mean, I guess most guys are just trying to sweat off the weight most of the time.
Dude, no. The day we went to the zoo, we were walking around, and like that night I checked my weight, and I was 189. I was like, fuck, and it was on Wednesday, so I had like a big dinner that night.
For
But so
sure.
it definitely worked out for me. Yeah.
So, how did you adjust to the time change? I assume it's got to be a really big time change. California, of course, to China. How'd you make that adjustment?
Um, we got stuck in the airport, so I kind of got lucky.
Yeah.
We had like a 6 hour layover, so I was like staying up, and then I fell asleep on the floor. And then when we finally got to China, it was like 6 a.m. So I was like, fuck it, we'll just run through our day like we usually would, and we did. And we were tired as fuck at
Yeah.
nighttime, and like we kind of adjusted automatically. We were so tired we just slept for a couple hours. We were kind of on schedule.
For sure. What did you think of the crowd over there? Because we know crowds in Asia, I mean, specifically Japan, but in this case, China's a little bit different. It's different from the crowds sort of in the United States. Did you feel that difference?
It was chill. No, yeah, they were chill. It definitely wasn't like Brazil, where
Yeah.
they're yelling "You will die."
Yeah.
And I haven't fought really in the States. The contender series was locals, but like it's a small crowd, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't really know how the crowd is here. So hopefully I can get a fight out here. That'd be dope. So I've traveled far for my last two.
And let's talk about your performance in the fight. Obviously, it was a good one. You managed to get the anaconda choke. How do you sort of look back at your performance in that fight?
I can hear you cut out.
I was just saying, how do you look back at your performance in that fight?
Um, I definitely, if I was going back, I wish I wouldn't have gotten so much. But obviously, it's a fight. Sometimes you get hit, sometimes you don't, you know? So, obviously, I would like to have better head movement. I mean, my wrestling felt like it was good. And I know that I can grapple. It's like always something I have in my back pocket. Um, but, no, I felt good about it. I mean, the performance, I definitely could do a lot better, and I know that. So, it's just back to the training boards, you know, and keep cleaning up the best we can.
And the anaconda choke, it's obviously something we don't really see in the UFC. Is this something that you've been practicing specifically, or are you able to just find the opening and just take advantage of that?
There's a submission I really like doing. I hit a lot in my fights, and it's just something off of it. It's like tying submissions into submissions, basically just flowing into one thing after another. I went first something else originally, and then it wasn't there, so I just switched my hand placement and went for that anaconda.
And I mean, this fight obviously took place in China before you were in Brazil. I mean, is it time for the UFC to finally bring you back home? I mean, what's going on with everyone wanting you to go international?
No, I definitely would love to fight at home. I don't know what's up with that, but I mean, it's been fun traveling. I definitely do want to get my next one in the hometown. It'd be dope. But I mean, until then, I guess they'll just send me wherever. And I mean, I really don't mind going into someone's backyard and being the fucking bad guy to like ruin their little parade. But so I mean, I don't know. I think they just know I don't mind ruining parades, so I'll go out there and give it my all.
For sure. Did you feel a lot of pressure going into that fight? Because obviously your debut, I'm sure, didn't go the way you had planned. Obviously, did you feel a lot of pressure, or was this just like another fight for you?
It's just another fight. This time I was healthy, so I was not really tripping.
For sure. One thing I do want to ask you about, an extremely important question right here. I mean, and here we go. It's, of course, your mustache. You have this great biker mustache. What's the key to having such a great stash?
Dude, I don't know. My guy just cuts it like that, to be honest. But it's filled in. I water it every night. You know, normal things. I'm just kidding. No. I'm Mexican. I guess I'm just blessed with that shit.
Oh, yeah. It's like they say Mexicans at 7, they already have the mustache. It's got to be pretty great.
Dude, the real fucking thing. It's a real thing.
For sure, man. I was hoping there was maybe a secret, you know, like you said, watering it, taking care of it, maybe wishing it a good night for going to bed, but...
Nah, I'm just being Mexican.
For sure, man. Now that the fight's over, I assume you want to get back out there, capitalize on the big victory. I mean, when are you seeing yourself getting back out there in the cage?
I'm trying to get back in there December. That would be my goal, to get back in there December. That I can handle some shit, stay in shape, clean some stuff up, and then go from there. So I'm trying to get my property ready to build a house too, on top of training and stuff. So, you know, got a lot of shit to do in between. And then I definitely do want to fight December, though. That seems like very doable for me.
Yeah, some very cool projects. I mean, is this a case of like Donald Cerrone, you're going to build your own bad motherfucker ranch? I mean, what kind of stuff are we talking here?
I mean, shit, I might one day, to be honest. That way everything's just at home. It wouldn't be a bad idea. I have 2 acres to do something on, so, I mean, I might.
Yeah. I have just one more for you, man. Usually when guys, they get off the victory, this is kind of your chance to figure out who you want next, kind of call your own shots. Is there someone you have in mind for someone you want next, someone that would help you get to that next point in your career?
I honestly don't even follow the UFC, so I don't know really in my weight bracket, and I really haven't studied anyone. I kind of let the promoter do their job and tell me who they want to see me fight. I mean, if fans want to see me fight someone, I mean, tell me. I really don't give a fuck. A fight's a fight for me. It's just certain things need to be adjusted for that fight, you know?
For sure, man. It's definitely. I think it's the first time I've ever gotten a response like that, man. But we appreciate the honesty. With that in mind, thank you so much for the time, man. I really appreciate it. Congratulations on the victory, and we look forward to seeing what's next for you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. No problem. Thanks for having me.